It started like most modern suburban disputes do, with the hum of a too-loud machine and the unmistakable scent of entitlement wafting over a shared fence. Her name was Sheila. She had just moved into the house directly behind mine, towing with her a neon pink ATV, a yappy designer dog named Princess, and the kind of HOA energy that made your spine stiffen every time the mailbox creaked open. At first, it was just the noise complaints. Ironic, considering her 8 a.m. joyrides around the cul-de-sac on that obnoxious four-wheeler could probably shake fruit off a tree. I just think it's funny, she said at the HOA board meeting, how certain people can't respect the community's quiet hours. This, of course, after revving her ATV like she was prepping for a drag race. Naturally, the HOA board nodded along like bobbleheads at a convention of cowards, too afraid of Sheila's constant threats to take anything to court or call her brother-in-law, a real estate lawyer. I ignored it. Until the extension cord showed up. A thick orange snake slithered from my backyard outlet, my outlet, across the fence and into her yard. At first, I thought maybe she needed to borrow power for a second. But after 3 mornings of waking to a flickering porch light and a randomly tripping breaker, I knew. Sheila was stealing my electricity. I walked over, extension cord in hand. Sheila greeted me with a Starbucks in one hand and a Bluetooth headset in the other. "Oh," she said, blinking like she'd never seen me before. "Was that yours?" "Yes, Sheila," I said. "The outlet attached to my home is mine." She shrugged. "Well, you left it exposed. That's basically community access." That line lives in my head rent-free. When I pointed out that she was violating community guidelines, she responded, "Honey, I am the guidelines." Apparently, while I was out of town the previous week, she got herself voted in as acting HOA vice chair in a surprise session. Convenient. Next came a friendly warning taped to my door. An unofficial-looking slip with a Comic Sans font and an eagle sticker, warning me my lawn was 15% too yellow. In autumn. With falling leaves. She had apparently flown a drone over my property. "It's about standards," she told the board. "We're a community, not a campground." But the real kicker? She tried to fine me for having unapproved wiring visible from the fence line, referring to her own stolen cord. When I objected, she said, "I'll let this one slide. But next time, it'll be $75. I reported the theft to the HOA. Their response? "We can't verify intent." Apparently, unless she cackled while plugging in jumper cables like a Marvel villain, it didn't count. So I installed a locking outlet cover. Within 24 hours, it was cracked, a tiny hairline fracture. When I confronted Sheila again, she claimed her gardener might have leaned on it. "With bolt cutters?" I asked. She told me to prove it. "Install cameras if you're so paranoid," she said. So I did. And that's when I caught her, crouched under a hoodie at 11:37 p.m., full-on Mission Impossible style, plugging into my outlet. The footage was crystal. I brought it to the HOA. Their response? "We can't confirm that's her." I asked if they needed a retina scan. So I escalated. I installed a power usage monitor. Sheila was drawing over 2.6 kilowatt hours per day, enough for a fridge, hairdryer, and a small guilt complex. Over a month? $30.58. Not the money, the principle. She was robbing me, gaslighting me, and using the HOA as her personal cheer squad. So I got creative. If Sheila wanted power, I'd give her something spicy to chew on. First, I needed the perfect bait, and an electrician who owed me a favor. The next week, my mailbox filled with HOA notices. Improper grass blade height. Visual clutter from a wind chime smaller than a squirrel. Sheila wasn't just stealing electricity anymore. She was consolidating power. Turns out, since weaseling into her vice chair seat, she'd quietly rewritten HOA bylaws. Her posse? A weirdly obedient clique that voted in a block. One of them, Janice, who wore yoga pants like a weapon, came to my door with a laminated HOA brochure. "We're updating the neighborhood aesthetic," she chirped, pointing to my beige porch trim like it was a felony. "It's about visual harmony." Harmony apparently meant banning bird feeders, flag colors, and flower pots not pre-approved. I refused to comply. Days later, $125 violation for non-standard lawn edging. I didn't even have edging. Sheila had now declared herself HOA aesthetic supervisor, a role she invented, claimed it was voted in during a special Zoom meeting. None of us were invited. Soon after, she fined me for my trash bins being visible more than 17 minutes post-pickup. She tried to classify my corgi as a nuisance breed. Her logic? His barks are aggressive in tone. Then came the cherry. She proposed renaming our cul-de-sac to Harmony Way. I was done. I showed up to the next HOA meeting, only to find a sign reading, "Meeting canceled. Chairwoman Sheila will email updates." Chairwoman, I filed a county complaint. But HOA matters are unregulated unless laws are broken. Technically, Sheila was dancing in the gray area where petty tyrants thrive. But she forgot one thing, her compulsion to plug in her beloved ATV. I inspected her charger. Industrial. Too powerful for residential use. I called Rob, an old friend and DIY Tesla coil enthusiast. He showed up with tools, scoped the setup, and declared, "This is illegal." Sheila had rigged a level 2 charger into a basic circuit. No grounding, no surge protection. A pink, four-wheeled Molotov cocktail. I gathered documentation, thermal images, voltmeter readings, and a video. 173 degrees while charging. Enough to slow roast a turkey. HOA again did nothing. "We don't regulate internal wiring," they said. Translation, "We fear Sheila." So Rob encouraged me to escalate. I filed an anonymous city report. Meanwhile, Sheila issued an HOA-wide memo banning inflatable lawn decor. She cited a teenager for violating the Serenity Clause by playing basketball at dusk. The clause didn't exist, but the city inspector arrived. Sheila tried her usual bluff. "Private property. HOA clearance required." The inspector blinked. "Actually, under Ordinance 13B, I'm allowed to inspect visible high-voltage equipment." He found the charger. "Not rated for residential use," he said. "Who installed this?" "My nephew," Sheila stammered. "He's an engineering student." Then she blurted, "It's only plugged into my neighbor's outlet sometimes." Boom. Admitted theft. In front of a city official. The inspector filed a report. Sheila received a cease and desist, a fine, and a 10-day removal deadline. The HOA couldn't protect her. The city outranked their little club. But I wasn't done. Rob built me a surge trap. Dormant unless the outlet was overloaded. The next evening, I watched Sheila sneak out in a bathrobe and Uggs, lean over my fence, and plug in. Boom. A loud pop, a flash of light, and a puff of smoke. Sheila screamed, stumbled back, and tripped over her ATV. She called the cops. The officer knocked. "She says you electrocuted her." I showed him the footage. Karen plugging in, uninvited, and triggering the surge. He chuckled. "A little jolt of justice, huh?" Filed a trespassing report. Officer warned her. "Next time? Charges." Sheila screamed. "He lured me." The officer blinked. "Ma'am, that's not how outlets work." Word spread. Neighbors taped a danger, Sheila's own sign on her fence. Her ATV? Fried. Charger? Toast. Every glance at it a daily reminder. Boundaries bite back. I had a smart locking panel installed. With camera. Her cronies fell silent. Even they had a line. Her rain? Cracking. Then came Alex, a quiet neighbor with a folder and a smirk. "I did some digging," he said. Inside, her full record. Sheila had 2 prior citations in another state for operating ATVs without a license. Tried launching an ATV to business. Got busted. Suspended license. Didn't disclose to HOA a legal requirement. Her ATV? Unregistered. Serial number tampered. She used an altered commercial-grade charger. Alex submitted the file to the city, HOA, and DMV fraud division. A city investigator showed up. Sheila tried to argue. Claimed it was decorative. "You've been using it nightly," he said. She screeched, "I am the HOA." "Not anymore," the investigator said. Suspended pending review. Her ATV? Confiscated. The HOA? Issued a community-wide notice pausing enforcement. Sheila was stripped of power. The punchline? Her house didn't sell. Too many fines. She tried to rent it. The new tenant? A retired band instructor who held drumline lessons. Daily. From 4:30 to 7 p.m. Every evening. Rhythmic. Loud. Legal. Sheila returned once. Furious. Yelling about decibels and municipal terrorism. Mr. Chapman, the tenant, smiled. I cleared it with the HOA president. Sandra even gave me a list of your old rules. Great for drumline warm-ups. As she stormed off, the drums played a farewell cadence. She hasn't been back since. Now, every time I hear that snare echo through the neighborhood, I smile. Because justice isn't always silent. Sometimes it has perfect rhythm.